Hello, everybody. It's another episode of the Uncanny Spirits Club. I'm still getting over the cold that I picked up in the last video, so I'm going to try to. Hopefully, my palate and my taste buds are working well enough. Because a lot of times when I get a cold and my nose is running and everything, and my taste buds don't quite work right. Not as bad as like the big C19 stuff, but a cold will always wreak havoc with your system a little bit. So, but I have a new one here for you, and I'm on the mend. I'm onwards and upwards. I should be right as rain in another couple of days here. But we're gonna try something new, and I have to look up the price because I didn't think to keep the receipt. So I'm going to. Oh, there we go. Perfect. My grocery store has an app, so it's super simple. This is Woodinville Straight Bourbon whiskey. And it is 90 proof, pot distilled. Um, it won some kind of award in 2010, or no, established in 2010, so it's relatively new. Handmade in Washington State. It's got some nice embossed lettering on the side, Woodinville. So nice touch on the bottle. Quiet little pop there. Smells like alcohol. Um, the cork looks organic, or it looks synthetic and possibly has been treated to look organic, but it does look. It's got the pock marks and things of an organic cork, as opposed to a synthetic. So I guess I'm going to believe that. Um, the juice in there really has stained it pretty dark, though. So maybe that's a good sign. Maybe it isn't. So I'm going to go ahead and pour some of this in here. Pours real nice. I'll add some more because I'll probably be enjoying this for a little while to help clear up the sinuses a little bit. Good 90 proof bourbon should help with the sinuses. That's not medical advice. I am not a doctor, so it seems to work for me. Pardon me. So I'm going to try to make this last at least the 7 or 8 minutes that YouTube kind of requires if in the future I manage to get monetized here by the time this video is out. And it's a good color. Nice auburn brownish color. Seems a little thin for 90 proof. Seems a little thin on the viscosity for 90 proof. Now that doesn't mean anything necessarily, but some things are a bit thicker and a bit more syrupy, and some things are a bit thinner, and it can affect the way the alcohol feels, and it can affect the buzz you get from it. It can also affect some of the taste and the flavor. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna try to be not too irritating with my nose and stuff. But yeah, there we go. Mm. It's a brighter bourbon. A little bit of burn on the edges of the tongue. Some sharpness on the tongue, but not so much in the throat. It's warm. It is a warm bourbon. Almost like a candy sweetness on the edges. It doesn't overwhelm you in a way that bothers me because I'm not much for real sweet drinks. It's kind of like a Jolly Rancher, like a Jolly Rancher fruit kind of taste from those fruit hard candies that you kind of let sit, dissolve in your mouth a little bit. And it lingers on the tip of your tongue. I can feel it kind of bouncing at the very edge. Right up here. Not so much in the back, but right up front. A nice candy fruit finish. Heavy on the cherries, maybe, like maraschino cherries. Not like just, not cherries you put in drinks so much, but the ice cream kind of cherries. Something you might put in a cordial. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's very interesting. It's not what I expected. I expected, just looking at it, it would be more brown sugar, kind of standard bourbon flavor. But no, this is heavy on the candied fruit. It reminds me of Christmas time. Not so much in that, because a lot of times you get like holiday drinks and they've got spices and they've got things in them, which is more of like a Thanksgiving thing for me. But this reminds me, and I know some people are going to groan up there and be like, oh, really? But not so much in the taste, but in the feeling. It kind of reminds me of a Christmas fruitcake. I know some people are like, "Oh, we hate fruitcakes." Well, that's a cultural thing. Everybody hates fruitcakes. I like fruitcakes, and a good fruitcake done well has a certain variety of flavors and fruits and things in there. And this is done well. It's a nice balance. Let's take a second drink to see if we can preserve some of that, or if we lose some of it after the first. Excuse me. You get a bit more alcohol in the second one, but you do still get that like candied cherries kind of taste. Yeah, very much the kind of cherries that you use in dessert recipes. The cherries that are very strong tasting, that are almost artificial cherry flavored, but they're not. They're just made that way. Mm. It's like the cordial inside a cherry cordial, but without the chocolate on the outside. I'm not getting any hint of like chocolate kind of anything like that. Some barest hints of spice, but not much. Mostly it's just that cherry alcohol feel. Not bad. I like this. I do like this for being a person who's not like into sweets as much, because I know I had a sweet tooth, heavy sweet tooth in the past. And even now, if you give me like a bunch of sweet stuff, I can just nom 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 nom, and I can really down it. But it bothers my body. Like, it just, too much sugar messes with me by a bunch. Because I overdid it when I was in my early mid 20s, and now that I'm a bit more grown than that, like quite a bit, um, I watch more the proportions of different things that I take in, like my salts and my sugars and things like that. But this is really good. This is really nice. It's not a summer drink though, and because it's Ohio in the summer right now, and it is, even now, early in the morning, it is 73 degrees, which might not seem that bad. It's kind of cooler outside, but it's been like 80s, 90s all day. It hit 90 a bit ago today. So this isn't something that necessarily would complement a day like today. It's definitely more of a winter bourbon, because it feels more like winter and chill and things because it really warms you up. And the alcohol fumes aren't too bad. So they're not really helping my sinuses as much as I would have hoped. I almost hoped it was going to be a bit more fumy. So it was kind of clean up things going up in the nostrils there. But it is very tasty. I hope it still tastes this good when my taste buds are back fully functional after the cold's out of my system. But I think it will. Now, this was $39.99 at my local grocery store. So pretty decent price, all things considered. I try to stay, as I've mentioned several times before, I try to stay in the $30 to $40 range for most of what I get these days, unless there's something truly special that I see or something new that's kind of like, oh, I'll see if that's worth $50, $60. The comfort zone is in the $30 range generally, 30 to 35. But $39.99 isn't too far out of that, and I feel pretty good about getting this. It is very. Excuse me for all my coughing. It's just when I get a cold, the cough is the last part of it. I start off with like body aches and sniffles, and you can kind of tell I'm kind of like problematic with that. But then there's a cough, and the cough is always the thing that lingers for a while. It sits there and it just like doesn't want to go away. Because I've always had throat problems, as from a child on up. I always get an accumulation of um, sinus drainage and things in my throat. I frequently got tonsillitis as a child, and I've never had my tonsils out because it wasn't that severe that I had to have the surgery done. But it is something that I've always had. I always tend to get throat problems, which has probably contributed to why I don't do as much performing with my musical projects anymore because I can't keep the throat healthy as much. But anyway, enough of my personal problems. You're here for the alcohol. $39.99 Woodinville Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 90 proof, pot distilled, nice bottle, handmade in Washington State. Distilled, bottled, and aged by Woodinville Whiskey Company, Woodinville, Washington. So they do everything in house. They don't source it out different places, which seems to be nice. There's not too many places that aren't part of the Sazerac empire these days. You know what I mean? But yeah, good stuff. $39.99 at my local grocery store here in Ohio. Your prices may vary, but it is tasty. It reminds me of the holidays in a nice, non-spice kind of way. Very comforting kind of way. So that's all I got for you. Hopefully by the next video, I'll be feeling a lot better. Between you and me, I hope so. Excuse me one last time. Until then, of course, as always, cheers.